Hey guys, so we got a 2000 Nissan Frontier. It's a V6 3.3 liter, and we're having some issues with the AC. Now this thing has been to a shop, and the shop could not fix it. What ended up happening is I actually tried to take off the clutch plate, thinking that maybe it wasn't, my clutch wasn't making good contact because maybe it was a worn out clutch. Kind of like the way I did in one of my old videos on the Ford Ranger. The problem with this is when I tried to take it off, that clutch plate did not want to come off. Kind of similar to a gentleman who did tried to do a repair, something similar, and his got stuck as well, couldn't get it off. Anyways, I ended up damaging the clutch and the compressor. So I took it into the shop. They were able to get that clutch plate back on there. Some pieces broke and kind of fell in there. So they went ahead and put everything back together for me, and then they told me the AC compressor was no good. So I had them go ahead and put an AC compressor, do a quick fix on it. I didn't replace anything else on the system. They told me I didn't need the evaporator and all that, and I kept telling them, you know, I'm going to sell the truck, that's fine and all, but kind of want it all working correctly. The guy's like, no, you know, if there's no dirt in the system, you'll be fine. Anyways, the repair was pretty expensive. The compressor install was about $600. So it did set me back a little bit. My AC worked for about a day, and then the same problem came back. What basically was happening is the compressor would sometimes come on. When I would turn the button on here, it would work. Other times it wouldn't work. Then the air conditioning guy told me to check to make sure that this button was working correctly. So I took all this apart. I checked it with the test light. I must have hit the button 50 times and it never failed. So it kept giving me power. Well, actually, it's a ground that sends a signal. And every once in a while, the compressor would work. Other times it wouldn't work. And so then he told me, well, maybe it's the high pressure switch, which is what I thought it was from the beginning. And then when I got a high pressure switch, he evapped the system, put the switch in for me. It didn't charge me anything. Filled it up again. It kept doing the same thing. It would work less than it would work most of the time. So it would work maybe 1% of the time. And it would work for just a little while. Then it would just stop working. The clutch would turn off a little bit, then turn off. So then I told him, I said, you sure we don't have any leaks anywhere? So he used this machine and checked. He says, you have no leaks. So then he asked me to go ahead and get in here inside the evaporator box, where the evaporator is inside this box. So I went ahead and unbolted it, brought it down, and I told him, you know, I'm already here. Why don't I just replace the thermo switch that's in here? He said, oh, no, it's very rare that those go out, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? That's what it was. It was this little part right here. This is the old one. This is a 3-wire. And that's where we're at. So I'm going to tell you how I took it apart in case you guys run into this. This thing is probably like a $21, $22 part online or at like Autozone. Autozone had it when I got it from them. I'm in San Diego, so I don't know. They had to order it from another store because they didn't have that store right by me. Of course not. But let me tell you what I did. So you do have to take off the center console in here, okay? To make this easy on myself, I pulled the seat out, which is basically 4 bolts. I think they're either 14 or 15 millimeter or something like that. Took that off. And then if you want to pull the driver's seat, you can. You don't really need to. You could slide it forward. And then there's bolts. There's 10 millimeter bolts on each side. There's 4 of them. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Okay? And then this console, you can get it out of the way. Then the next step is going to be, you want to go ahead and take off the bolts that are here, and then there's 2 more on the other side. Now, I did have a little bit of a hard time getting this part off. For some reason, I think it was stuck on there. So I had to pull really, really hard towards me, and it basically unsnapped some clips right here. So I kind of got it out like that, pulled it forward. Once we got that out, there's two 10 millimeter bolts. The one up on top is up here behind the glove box. I just took these two out. I lifted this up and I pulled this forward. And then I took the glove box down, okay? 2 bolts here. I believe there's 2 in here, and then there's 2 more in the middle. Okay. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get this bar out. There's a nut there that I just took off. And then there's another one here that you'll get off. And then this is the airbag switch. So you'll bring this down. What you want to do is just squeeze with some needle nose pliers and then pull this plug towards you. Do not disconnect it. Make sure that you don't unplug the airbag, or just if you're going to unplug your battery, you can go ahead and do so, but then you kind of lose all the memory and then your car has to monitor again. That's why I didn't want to do that. So I just made sure just not to unplug here. You basically just squeeze the connector from the back side, take the connector off and move it to the side, and then get that bar out of the way. And then the next step is going to be to take that bolt off. There's another one right down here. There's one hidden right here. This one you might want to use some kind of a ratcheting tool, or maybe you can use a small ratchet and socket. And then there's one that's really hard to get to, which I was able to go through right here with a very, very long extension. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So what I did is I kind of went like this, and I went in here like that, and I went straight in. And there's a bolt under there, right there. See my finger moving around back there? You can see it, probably see it in there. What I do is kind of loosen the box, okay? And then you're gonna take off these 3 screws right here, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull down on this. Now it's not gonna come completely out. It's gonna give you a good area to where you can see the sensor in here, okay? So once you kind of pull it down on both sides, then what I did, same as my buddy online, I shoved a piece of 2x4 in there to kind of hold it in there. Now if you get a shorter piece, it's better because this kind of gets in the way right here when you're working. But you just need something like a block of some kind to kind of hold this open for you while you get your hand in there. And this sensor's basically shoved into the evaporator. So what I did is I took a little marker and I marked, kind of like, say the sensor's sitting like, it actually sits in there. The sensor, this little piece here goes in like that. So what I did is I marked, the best I could as I can get my hand in there, I marked on the evaporator kind of where it was. So I kind of tried to put it in the same spot. Then what I did is I pulled it out, and you kind of pull a little hard and then kind of bend it a little bit. So it's basically come out like that, because on the side there's a hole right here. So you kind of bend it, turn it, get it out, and then you could go ahead and right down here, get a little flat blade screwdriver behind here with on the back side of it, and then pull on it. So basically what you're doing is you're going to get the sensor to kind of do this and then pull it down, because it has a little thing right here where it locks into place there. Now the new one did come with a replacement little thing. So if you don't know what this is, if yours came with it, you can actually mount it on here on the box, and then this little piece here slides onto that. But I reused the one that was on there. There's a metal one that's already behind here. So this piece, I didn't need it. So if you don't realize what that's for. Okay. So then what you do is, like I said, you're going to get this sensor back in there. And then once you get it in there, it's going to go ahead and go in. And you're basically going to drive it into the evaporator. Because there's like little, it's almost like that. And you're putting this piece in between there. That. And if you look at this, it has like little ridges on there. I don't know why it has them on the top, because it doesn't go like this. It goes like this. This part points up. So you want to put it right in there and then just pull the wire out, hook it back in, and then reverse order to put it back together. Now, I wish I could have recorded this at the time when I was working on it, but I wasn't actually planning on doing this repair. I had an electrician come in over to test all this stuff out, a really good buddy of mine who's really good at fixing these kind of problems. And he had told me, just go ahead and replace this switch. It's real cheap. Just replace it, and then I'll be over there later. And when I put it in, it ended up working. So I called him up and said, hey, man, I'm not going to need for you to come down. And he was kind of happy because he was kind of in the middle of some stuff. So anyways, I'm going to put this back together. I'm not going to videotape it. I'm just kind of letting you know, if it isn't this switch, it's probably your compressor. Those are the two main things, because my compressor was just acting really weird. It was coming on, and then it wasn't coming on most of the time. It wasn't consistent with the button here. The refrigerant had just been filled. It was just really unusual. And these Nissan Frontiers and Xterras, I guess they are notorious for this. So, first case, man, if you run into this problem, I would replace this switch first, because it's the cheapest thing than having to replace that compressor unless you go get one at the junkyard. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up. I can try to answer what I can. I'm not an AC guy, but I've done a lot of work on this thing. So anyways, thanks for watching, and have a great day.